What's going on YouTube? We have another Kevin Samuel video for you guys today. This is part two to the Clubhouse interviews and live talks that he was having with the other audience within the Clubhouse stream. Without further ado, you guys, if you enjoy this video that I'm putting out, please show me by supporting the channel. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate y'all.
uh, Black women have an earned reputation of being tough. Collections department, customer service. You want to end up getting things handled in a certain way. People weaponize that fire you have, and that's fine. But you're weaponizing it for some company's gain. How is it benefiting us as men for you to weaponize that against us, especially if I don't know you?
Right.
You should be walking around with fire for me.
Right.
Kevin, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Let me ask you this though. Is there a way, because I think there's so much aggression and tension between Black men and women at this point, is there a way to have conversation with de-escalation as opposed to escalation?
Exactly.
Not that you have to do, not that.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
Okay.
Here's how it happens in my opinion. You have to come to the table in good faith. If you're not coming in good faith, then it's just, you can set your watch. It's gonna go off the rails.
In the profession that, in the professions that I'm in, sometimes you deal with people with egos and attitudes and tempers, and men or women. And I feel like the best approach, this is just me personally, the best approach is always to have a means to an end, the goal, right? The goal is to get the record done, the deal done, the relationship intact. So therefore, even if the person on the other end is rude or angry or hostile, there's not much someone can do when fire is met with lack of oxygen. You suck the oxygen out of the situation that doesn't give a person the opportunity to burn hotter.
Well, that works. That can work in a profession. It doesn't work in personal lives.
You don't.
Not as effective. Well, okay. In general, it does not. Okay. Yes, in a profession, because you're submitting yourself to a greater goal. Most people, in interpersonal relationships, if you're not submitted to our relationships today, who's submitting to who? You can't even say the word submit to a sister. You're not going, and you're supposed to. So what are you submitted to? We got a 51. What's the divorce rate in the Black community? It's higher than the national average, but 8 out of 10 divorces filed by women. Even if you say half of the divorces are filed for the worst parts of the Bible, adultery, this, that, fully half women are walking away from men that do not deserve to have the title of husband or have a wife. That still gives us 4 out of 10 being filed. We have to look at what's going on with women today. We have always asked what's going on with the men until we start to have an unflinching look at where women are today in relation to and women ask what men want, because men want one simple thing across the board. They just simply want cooperation. And if the rank and file man feels like he can't get cooperation, that's what's going to lead to 82% of men saying that they don't believe women are out here to be marriageable. And we can sit back and call the men and question the men, and that's typical stuff, and tell the men and give the men new tools to use and de-escalate. But what we never do is we never go over to the women and say, hey, how about you just don't come in here with all that? How about you get some therapy and talk through and figure out what's going on with you, the reason why you feel like you need to move through the world that way.
Kevin, mind if I say something real quick?
Go ahead. I'm start bringing up some more people.
No problem, no problem. One of the there's this amazing book, I talked about it on the show, called His Needs, Her Needs, and there's a best-selling book, over 2 million copies. And one of the things that the author talked about was that he was having a dating service, and he realized that the dating service was ineffective because he met a bunch of people, men and women alike, who were always demanding things from the other gender, but they themselves offered nothing in response. So what he then suggested was that instead of creating a dating service, why don't he equip men and women with the skills to meet the needs of the other gender? And he saw instantaneous results. And obviously they don't see all the work you've done for men, what I've been doing for men for all these years. But one of the biggest things that I have not seen is the curiosity from a lot of women to learn, what exactly do men need? What exactly do men tolerate? What exactly is the tonality that men are going to step? I sent you that picture earlier about the decline of marriage in the Black community. I think we need to have an honest conversation, and I really want to encourage all the women to get very curious, because like you said, there's a lot of female dominated spaces, but there's not enough women who are really spending the time to figure out, what do men need? They want to tell us what we should take, but they don't want to tell it. They want to learn what we want.
Well, I was
I don't know. So yeah, let's continue.
Let me just say something, and you can go ahead. And I understand why there's no curiosity when you're being told that everything's fine with you. It's those guys. And that's the thing. We got people facilitating women just being all right, and that doesn't help either side with an outcome. So yeah, there does need to be curiosity, and it'll shut down on the finger pointing, because it'll help us come to the table in more good faith. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to interject. I kind of want to piggyback, but thank you for inviting me up to speak. I've been raised in pretty much a full family household. I had my mother and my father. They were married for like 30 years. And we had a really big family dynamic on both sides, where I was raised around a lot of men. And just through me growing up and being around women and also being around those men, I find that I was taught at a young age to know my place in a room. And when I was younger, if it wasn't a grown folks conversation, I didn't speak. If I was around the women, I knew my place as a child. When I was around men, I knew my place as a young girl and also as a child. And that kind of helps me as when I grew up as a woman. I also know my place as a woman in this world to be able to carry myself properly when it comes to communication with men. And I think that when we talk about the family dynamic, where there's a lot of women who didn't grow up with their father in a household, they never had that ability to be able to move properly, or know when to speak, or know when to be quiet, or know when to interject, or to say something properly without over speaking or speaking out of turn. Or men, the way women talk, we talk differently than the way men talk. So sometimes when I see my friends, when they're in the room with men, they want to talk about things that women like to talk about. And when we're around men, it's a different type of energy from my friends than it is from me, because I know how to move properly around men, or how to speak properly around men that's respectful. And also where I stand in my place. And I don't think that's a disrespectful thing for me to be able to say that. Like, as a woman, I know my place in the room, and I can
I would say that that probably sends some chills up some women's spine. Stand in your place. And we're going to have to talk about all these things. See, one thing that gets missed is I don't do this show. There's a lot being said. He's this, he's that, he's bashing it. You don't know me. You're listening to what people have to say. I don't do what I do because I don't want to see a better outcome. I could make money a lot of different ways and not have to deal with the stress of trying to do a show every night to try to talk to women about things that I know most don't want to hear. But I will tell you, when I got women who are saying, thank you. When I first heard you, I didn't like it. But now my husband, my children, and my future generations owe our lives to you or something along those lines. And there are brothers out there like Hafez and other people who are trying to help.
Trying to look at, how and why they've become hardened. We are doing that work. And so I just want that to still be acknowledged. And, I appreciate you bringing me up here, and I'm ready to listen to everything you guys have to say. But if we could definitely acknowledge that, then yeah.
Let me also say something, because many people aren't familiar with the content I made previously for men. I openly tell guys, look, I don't want to hear about your problems. The world does not owe you understanding. Beauty costs. You want a beautiful woman, a fit woman, you want her to be all these things, then you better pay the cost to be the boss. I don't do this 50-50 shit. I tell a man that you need to be working 60 hours a week minimum that you're getting paid for. If not, get off internet, get off Instagram, get out of these spaces, go get a job. I don't care if you got to clean toilets. I have. Go get a job at a convenience store. Do it. Check your pride. You shouldn't have pride and empty pockets. Because I think there's a big problem, because so many of our women, I was raised by a single mother and my father wasn't around too. I get it. And many men were not raised to be the masculine, strong men that you're starting to hear so many men step into. We're all broken. The Black community, so I say we all need therapy. And I like to hear when I hear women say that they're trying to get their shit together, men are trying to get their stuff together, because then we can approach each other with some grace, some empathy, and understand that, we're better together than apart. But I am very tough on guys, because at the end of the day, it is our responsibility to build in your nest. There is a reason so many women cannot feel comfortable resting in their femininity, because so many men have dropped the ball. I have. I'm not perfect, and I never try to make myself seem like I'm perfect. You've been divorced twice, that's right, but that don't mean your marriage can't work once. And that's what I'm ultimately getting to. We have to get past the messenger and who said what and try to get to the greater outcome. How do we start making more healthy Black couples? Because this is some bullshit. 50-year marriages filings in 2019 were the 50-year high. Divorces were the 50-year low. Black community has a $1.1 trillion spending power, and people get rich off of us because we are not together. And we have people on all sides of the arguments. That's why what I've done with this newfound spotlight is reach out and say, where are the counselors, the therapists, the relationship coaches, the femininity instructors, the matchmakers, all the resources. All right, let's start putting together an infrastructure for a Black network of people so we can actually start getting ourselves together, so we can find one another. So when a woman meets a man, she can actually come in with her guard down a little bit, because she can at least say, well, I know that there are men out here trying to do something other than just hit and quit. I'm an image consultant, and I have taken a lot of heat from Black men for telling them, take that damn t-shirt off at 40 years old, pull up your damn pants, dress like a damn man.
And Kevin, they don't see that.
But and that thing is, they can't see it because our ethnic image is shit, and that's our responsibility. Black women have Black media. Black men have to make Black media for Black men by Black men to repair our own image. It's not their responsibility to give us Essence, Ebony, Madame Noir, or any of these other platforms. Black women check for themselves. They will make a platform to benefit themselves. As Black men who have to come out of their pocket and support Black male content for Black men by Black men, promoting something better. We were given gangster rap and hip hop. I was in college, and 1 minute we had X-Clan, next minute we had bitches ain't shit. I saw this stuff. I've been talking about this since 1989. So like I said, at the end of the day, I know where I stand in this thing. It ain't about me. I ain't trying to make it about me. We don't have Black family. We don't need reparations in this net. Without Black family, you can't have Black nothing. And I'll say this, and I've said it again. Anybody who knows me will tell you that I think it's a travesty that so many Generation X Black men and Black women in particular, we were lied to. I know some thorough, professional, beautiful women who there's no way in God's green earth, there's no way in hell these women should be unmarried, no children. And I also know men, there's no way in hell they should be unmarried, but we are. We're unmarried, uncoupled, and don't know how to do it. We got to figure it out.
And I want to address Danielle
Yeah.
real quick. One of the biggest things is that, I think sometimes when, we talk about there's not enough men in the space creating healthy platforms, you got to go out and look for it. Obviously we have the platform with the roommates. Kevin, like I said, he's been doing this for quite a long time. People are just now watching more of the female-oriented content. But there is a lot of male content creators who are creating healthier Black men physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially. We have tons of community. My community has over 1,600 men who are looking to improve in their lives and growing and maturing. So I think when it comes to the conversation, we're not looking. And we have to emphasize that they are great quality men. There are places and spaces which are encouraging men, which are equipping men, which are giving the men the skills to be successful, to be great fathers, to be great husbands, to be great leaders in society. And so I really want to challenge everybody who's saying, where are these spaces for men? Because when I was on tour with Derek Jackson, Stefano Bossier, and Ace Metaphor, women would say that all the time. Where are the spaces for men? I'm like, they're here. You just got to open your eyes and see it.
For the men, this is why I say for the men, we got to do a better job at promoting it. We do it. We got to talk about it. We have to promote it. And this is one of the biggest failings. From 1915, D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation, the Black male image has been under assault. Now, we actually have access to these social platforms to use to our advantage. And we need to present the image of ourselves that we are proud of and that our women can be proud of. And we got to fund it out of our own pockets.
I think what Kevin said was accurate because there has to be more promotion. When I was speaking, I said that I acknowledge there are a lot of, wonderful gentlemen who are doing the work, and I'm friends with many of those gentlemen, and I've collabed with them in lives on Instagram. So I know that it's out there, but oftentimes what is promoted are, things like clubs labeled, is this turning into, Pornhub? Is this, stuff about sex work and everything else? So we're not seeing that promoted as much. And maybe that's a part of it because, us women, we are open with talking about doing our work, in my opinion. But I absolutely, applaud all of the men who are out there doing that work. It is appreciated.
And here's the thing. Go ahead.
Hey, how
Who is
you
that?
doing? This
I'm
is
sorry,
Lola.
what's your name?
Lola.
Hi, Lola. How are you? Go ahead.
I am well.
I'm sorry, I'm
So-
new to the platform, so I'm still trying to figure it out. But go ahead.
That's fine. So when your video went viral, I did go listen to it, and I actually went and I looked on your YouTube page, and I looked at a lot of your posts and videos. Some of them were very long, so I'm not going to sit here and say I listened to all of it. But what I did gather from it, I mainly listened to the ones that were African Americans, and what I did gather was, even listening to you, was like, it's a destruction of our family in itself. So the family has been destroyed. And so with the family being destroyed, and I'm noticing that, but when you were speaking, it was very surface, and they were calling about surface things as well. And I understand, I agree with you. You're just brutally honest. And a lot of people can't take that brutality because they're not ready to accept the accountability of what it is that you were stating. So it is about delivery, like Brittany was saying, because you have to remember, if someone is fragile, because I'm a mental health professional, so I'm a little bit, more therapeutic with my words, because it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So if someone comes to you and they ask questions, but again, that's not your realm, so I understand. But, like I said, for me, it's the destruction of our family in its whole. So our men, a lot of them have changed roles, because the women of this society, a lot of us, our women in general, are making more money than their mate. And so men become intimidated. And if you are in a certain bracket, like that woman, she said she made 6 figures. So if she's looking for someone, and I'm gonna speak for myself too, in a relationship, and like you said, we do the same thing. And you're right, it is a double-edged sword, and we wouldn't get what you got. You got attacked. We wouldn't have got an attack. They would have agreed with us, like, oh no, she's making this. She's not about to take. Huh?
It's
an understatement. It's an understatement.
Well, I'm saying you went viral, and a lot of it was negative. But I'm also one who's honest and saying what he said he was just brutally honest. But it's true. If you're asking for something, like I tell everyone, are we able to provide what we want to receive? And that's a question that you have to ask yourself. So if you go out and you say you want this man, he's 6 feet, making 6 figures, he drives this or drives that, can you provide that as well?
Well, let me say because it's kind of getting long. One, I am not a clinician. I never hold myself out as a clinician. That's why I often say you need therapy. And many people are saying, well, you should have did this. Look, you don't go to your cardiologist to get you don't go to your dentist to get for heart surgery. I stayed in the lane I'm in. But we're so quick to tell Black men, you need to do better. I'm very good at what I do. And I gave her exactly what she asked for. It wasn't a brutal truth. It was very tactful. If you watch the entire video, men are seeing this very differently. Well, I say most men are seeing it very differently. I did my level best to not have to. Please, ma'am, don't make me say it. Because I have a professional opinion and a personal opinion. But as an image consultant and social skills coach, that is what I'm supposed to talk about. And she understood that. That's number one. Number two, if you want a man at that level, that's fine. But you need to know what those men tend to want. Did anybody remember when I asked her, what would you happen to bring to the table for the kind of man you want, what he wants? Did anybody happen to remember her answers?
Did she say she was like a farmer or something?
She said if I could help. Groomer. She said, well, if he has a business, I can help him with his business. And I said, that's great, but only 20 to 30% of the population really owns a business. So that may or may not matter. Then she said, I plant my own garden.
Right.
And I'm into self-improvement and etiquette. Now, I need you guys to understand what it takes to make a man like Isaac or AC Hatchett or a man like myself. We don't come out making what we're making. And I've heard 6 figures ain't that much. Are we kidding? I mean, come on. Whether it's it's adjusted for income, but at the end of the day, men are being told, you got to go improve. You got to go do this. In order to be on the level, to be acceptable and suitable, to be a father, a husband, or whatever, you got to go get better. And for men to hear that was the extent of the curiosity that a middle-aged mother of a 13-year-old son had about a man, that's disheartening to men. But we'll get focused on what I said versus what she was saying to her son and men.
I think she brought her weight. I think she brought up her the physical first, which I thought was where everything went downhill.
Right. Why?
She said, "Look at. Can you see?" She said, "Can you see me?"
But it doesn't. But that's the show. I'm an image consultant. Right. That's the whole thing, and it's a question I asked. And I did not. She said, "Can I see her?" And I could. And I keep my personal opinion to myself. I said, that's why I asked her, "What would you rank yourself?" There were people who had a problem with me asking her those questions. It was like, you're not supposed to ask women anything. You're supposed to accept, this is what we want, and give it to us. Ladies, that's not going to work.
So would you say, Kevin, because this is what you do, you're an image consultant. So I understand you're saying because she wants this man who makes this type of amount. But what did you say? Because you're saying because she wanted this, she's 35 and she has this a child and a questionable baby's father. Because of that, that's going to limit her to get in the man that she wants. What about character?
Well, two answers. One, character is a different discussion from what I have. Just like his faith. I've mentioned character, but it's not what I'm concerned with primarily. I am not a one-stop shop. And that's what we got to stop doing, trying to make it about everything. And the men, there have been at least 3 panels of Black men on YouTube, attorneys, bankers, physicians. I'm actually going to put them up on my channel next week of men discussing it, men in the very category. And you know what the men in the very category, even on other platforms that aren't necessarily friendly to mine, men are saying the same thing. Where I'm at, I would want a woman primarily with I want her to have no children. And I prefer to be younger. This is what the men are saying. That's what they're saying. So is it 100% no? But I said what I meant. I said, why don't you just go get an average guy? Because ma'am, you're not running Microsoft. You have a business. Okay. Why don't you just go get an average guy in North Carolina, which there are plenty more. And average is not an insult. And what was her answer? Her answer was, I can't get an average guy because in order for me to fully submit, he's got to make more than me. So what are we telling to 90% of black men who don't make more than her? And you automatically can't get submission from her. And I said, well, ma'am, if that's the case, women like you die alone. If you're going to keep that standard where it is, and you and the reality of your life, I said, these men are not knocking down your door. She said, that's right. My dating life is not that good. I'm like, you don't know where these men are. You don't know how to find them. You don't know what they want. I tell you what the men who are in that category have told me over years what they want. They don't want ... I'm telling women what these men are saying because they're my clients. They're my colleagues. And if you ask them, they will tell you, no, that's not what we want. And she said, well, yeah, but what can I do to get them? It didn't matter that I told her that these guys don't tend to want these things. All she wanted me to tell her was, here's how you can get them. That's why I said, well, I can't do anything.
Kevin, is there not an option for a woman like that to find someone who is a high earner, but perhaps, she can date someone who also has a child?
What do you think the option is?
I was posing the question to you. Do you think that that's not an option for a woman like herself who said, hey, I'm a successful business owner, to now
what
meet
does that
someone
have to
who's
do with
also
anything?
a high earner?
What does that mean to me?
We don't care.
I don't
care about
that.
But can I finish? Somebody who is, maybe that is important to them. They also have a child, so they don't view that as a negative. Basically, what I'm getting at is there's a lid for every
Lola,
pot. Is that not an option?
Danielle. Okay, if I told her it was an option, you know what that's going to do? Continue to feed that hope and delusion that they're available when they are not numerically. What percentage of men would fit that category? First off, we're roughly how many in this country? 40 million of us? 22 million black men?
Yeah, YouTube. So that is the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, you guys, this is part 2. It's a lot of this live stream they had in Clubhouse. I could chop it up to more parts. If you guys enjoyed it, go ahead and leave a like, comment.